Does anyone feel like nothing really matters the way they used to before like the quarantine? Like when you think about like just anything, like when a song goes viral, right? Now it just becomes like, some conversation and some bullshit comparison to, people make bullshit comparisons that just don't, they try to hype things up and make all kinds of asinine claims about certain singers and try to put them in big conversations and whatever the fuck. But it's not really the same as it was, before 2020. Like it just doesn't feel like you don't have. It doesn't have that. It's the music doesn't have that effect. And not just music, but like movies. Everything just seems like it doesn't feel like any of these things are really, moving anything. The only thing I can say now, of course, now the Knicks are winning, or the Knicks won the championship, so you can feel that in real life. All of that's real in real life. But like, of course, other things going on in the summer with FIFA and all that. That's finally doing its thing. But like before, like in these past 6 years, it just feels like maybe you got Squid Games. Um, you got uh, what's this other shit? I mean, you had The Last Dance. You got some things. You got some things that can get some attention, but I feel like everything is just too. I don't know. Everything's just too clickbait. Things get clickbait attention, but it's not really doing. It doesn't really have an effect. You know. Like, I don't know how to. I don't know if I'm saying it the best way, but like, let's take Drake for example, right? He had that song Kiki back in like 2018 or whatever. That song was going viral and we're just getting played all over the place and on TikTok. Everybody was doing the challenges on Instagram and everything, and they were just going on and on and on. This was like weeks, like it went super viral, right? And the same thing. Let's take Cardi B's first hit, right? Bodak Yellow. That was like getting played everywhere. You could feel it going on the whole summer. It just kept going. I'm like, damn, is this gonna? I'm like, I didn't think Cardi B was actually gonna make a song that's gonna go like. First, I thought it was gonna be like, all right, it's a little quick thing, but nah, this song was like, they just were just lasting. It kept getting played. If you don't, I don't fuck with you. I don't boss. I make money moves, and it was fucking the shit for like all summer of 2017, man. Same thing before, but like Fetty Wap, and Bobby Shmurda, like you could feel them in the clubs. You could feel them being talked about. You could feel them all over the place. The last person I'd say was like, it's like that was the baby. And since then, it just feels like everything else is just clickbait. They have to, you have people like Sexy Red just doing degenerate things to get attention. And, it feels like they're just forcing people on faces, man. It doesn't feel like there's genuine people making hits anymore. For the love of the game, it doesn't feel like it, man. It just feels like people just doing gimmicks. People just want to be, on streams, getting shouted out by streamers. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like the summers of the past, man, or just the years of the past. I don't know how we're gonna get this back. This generation's kind of cooked, because they obsessed with streamers and whatever the fuck they got going on, and they believe everything on TikTok and social media. They get their personalities from there. So I don't know how we get this back, but we got to do something. You know what I'm saying? We got to stop letting you know this this type of uh, what you call it. We can't let this clickbait um, shit get to us, man. We can't let this fake. Um, we can't let these fake conversations that are forcing our faces take over. Real life. We gotta have real motherfuckers. You know, out here getting attention, man. You can't have these, dumb motherfuckers out here being the ones to be famous. And it's not just about them being famous. It's about, the type of, who's going to represent us in our time period? Who's going to represent us in our society, man? Who's going to represent where we are? Like when people think about our time period years from now, what are they going to think about us? Are they going to think we're a bunch of dweebs who allow, people like Adam 22 and, Sexy Red and Elon Musk and Chud the Builder, we're going to allow them to think this as Asmund Gold, however the fuck you say this fucking premature looking motherfucker, premature meth baby looking motherfucker. Like, are we gonna let these types of people be the faces of our time period and, and what people think what we were doing back in this time period? That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna be looking at us like, damn, this time period was super lame. This might be the lamest period of human history. They let a dweeb become a trillionaire and they were sucking his ass. And he was just a total drug addict acting motherfucker. They let a troll become a president. He's on the Epstein files and they ain't doing shit about it but whining online, even though they have the ability to meet up. You know, all these other motherfuckers who's out here talking a bunch of stupid. They let a fucking Mexican dweeb Nick Fuentes be, the face, a big popular face on the internet. They let all these motherfuckers get attention. And this is what we got out here, man. You let Charleston White go out here talking shit with one eye. Like, these are the motherfuckers we got out here. And so far, everything's being annoying. Like, going on the internet and seeing the dumb conversations we have, it's like, bro, like, this is not what the internet's supposed to be. This is not what, society's supposed to be at. This is not where society's supposed to be at. We're supposed to be having better conversations. We're having dumb conversations. The dumbest shit's going viral. Uh, you know, all these podcasts are spewing dumb shit all day. And, like, society's just in a dumb place, man. You know, it doesn't feel like, uh, it doesn't feel like the, the young generation is really demanding more. Like to be like, yo, like, this shit sucks. Music sucks. You know what I'm saying? The people you keep putting in front of us, to get attention and all that, they suck. They're overrated. Um, Politics sucks. The only thing I guess I give a shit about is Mom Donnie, and that's it. Nothing else moves me. If he wasn't here, I'd be like, man, this shit is really bad. It's not. I'm not motivated. Not moved. Yeah. Uh, Politics. Yeah, like I said, politics sucks, and you can tell by the last presidential campaign. It was like, all these candidates suck. Like, are we supposed to be moved by this? Kamala sucks. Trump sucks. Uh, uh, who else is? Yeah, because Bernie Sanders is just never going to win. I mean, they're going to keep just throwing him to the side, even though they know he's popular. Uh, uh, Jeb Bush, who gives a shit about Jeb Bush, for real? Like I said, but whatever. Moving on, no one gives a fuck. No, like, real people don't give a fuck about these elections anymore. We know it's bullshit that they use to just, divide us, and they're using social media to divide us down. We people came on social media to get away from TV and the bullshit that was becoming TV, and now social media has turned into another toxic place. Can't go on here without a bunch of bots and dumbass takes and people trying to spew the struggles that's going on with their lives. It's like, we don't give a fuck about your life. We're not here to hear about your baby daddy. We're not here to hear about your mama. We're not here to hear about, how your parents don't like you or whatever. We are here to experience some good shit on social media. And it makes me miss for the days of like, 2000, like, the Vine days, where you just go on there and you just laugh and make some jokes and, you bounce. We're just all making jokes, having a good time. And then, of course, there'd be some stuff in there, mixed in, we laugh about this and laugh about that, but it'd be mixed in. We're not here to be just miserable, annoying people. And now it feels like social media has become that way. Every day it's a race war, people arguing about, you know, black fatigue or, immigration and the white population, this, and, it's just like, oh, man, I did not come here for this bullshit, man. I want out. Where is the alternate internet at? All right, where's the because Elon Musk is going Twitter. All right, you know, I thought because I didn't know him like that before. I thought he was gonna help. Because it was a little too liberal before he got there. So I'm like, maybe he can get them out of there. There's people who keep suspending accounts over nothing. You can't say anything towards anybody. And I'm like, yeah, he's gonna change it. And then this motherfucker comes out here and he just turns it into 4chan, 4chan times 10. And that's what you got going on. Spewing the racist propaganda, MAGA propaganda all day. I'm just like, oh man, uh, I don't want to argue with these motherfuckers all day, man. You know what I'm saying? Like they gotta. It's already too late. I gotta find another website to go to, or another app platform to go to. But yeah, it's just like where's the motivation at? Like who's gonna be 2009 Jeezy, man? Who's gonna be, you know what I'm saying? Who's gonna be, uh, who's gonna be 2000 early 2000s Ja Rule, Cisco? Who's gonna be the who's gonna be you know who's gonna be B.O.B. of the early 2010s? Who's gonna be Drake, the next Drake, man? Like what's going on out here? It doesn't feel like anything's happening with that. It's just dead out here. So I'm just like, oh man, I don't know, man. Streets is dead too. You got a bunch of snitches walking around talking shit. Niggas ain't doing nothing about it, letting them get it off. You got a bunch of Candace Owens niggas coming outside, feeling comfortable. Like if you were like an Uncle Tom ass nigga, talking that bullshit, usually would say, you wouldn't go all hardcore with it. You say like, oh, black people, black and black pride. You say some stuff like that, fatherless this, a little that, and then you kind of keep it light, so you don't get so black people don't go crazy on you. But it seems like uh, that's not the case. You could be a Candace Owens disrespectful motherfucker. You could be a disrespectful Charleston White motherfucker. You could be talking like Jesse Lee Peterson, and niggas ain't doing nothing. Nothing. They're talking crazy to street niggas. They're talking crazy, or alleged people supposed to be street niggas ain't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? You're talking crazy to entertainers. You're talking crazy to, you know what I'm saying? Niggas that I guess have a name for themselves online. They're down here talking crazy to everybody, but niggas ain't doing nothing to them. So yeah, um, that's what we got going on. So it's like we're living in the most uncool. It's like we live in an uncool time period where all the like you could just be like awkward and annoying and get away with it. Before you couldn't do that because you get made fun of and you get roasted. So you had to chill out. But now it's just like all the annoying people that should be getting shoved in lockers are now out here, you know, constantly looking for attention. And I guess it's kind of the bad side of streaming. Now anybody can stream. Like we see with Chud the Builder, and they can get attention. And, they can always find. They always seem to find ways to, you know, create dumb conversations and do things that I just don't give a fuck about. Streaming. Celebrities are already one thing I didn't get really give a fuck about. But now seeing all these talentless streamers, this makes me like, oh man, these guys, this is gonna be the death of society, man. Streamers. I hate streamers. They come out here, talk about some dumb shit. They all stand around with the cameras on them. You know, hey Chad, what you think about this, Chad? Chad, yo, Chad, what about this, Chad? It's like, damn, y'all have here getting. I guess apparently they're making some good bread. Yeah, you're getting paid good bread to be talentless. And honestly, back in the day, when I think about early YouTubers who weren't getting paid, they were on it for the love of the game. They were funny as shit. You could tell they had to put work into their skits and think about, these things they was doing. Thinking about those early YouTubers and people on World Star and shit like that back in the day. They had way more personality, man. And they didn't they weren't, but they were 10, 15 years too early, man. And so they couldn't get the they couldn't get the bag that these niggas is getting now. These bozo niggas is getting now, man. It's a damn shame. Um, but yeah, my whole point, just just my take on society, man. It's just looking and seeing like it doesn't feel like anything's really moving the needle. You know, and it seems like you could say some bullshit and people will jump on it and then they move on to the next thing. And it seems like people, the people that's usually online, getting attention online, will say dumb things to get attention. That's their way of getting their keeping their name out. Saying dumb things to get attention. Charleston White's, the Gilbert Arenas, the Draymond Greens. You got so many willing to say dumb things to get attention. Get their little 15 seconds of cloud chasing, and yeah. So yeah, if you feel like this is if you feel society's been watered down the past 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, maybe even more. Like I feel like it's really declined in the last 6 years. Once this quarantine kicked in, it's like they phased in, this annoying, um, you know, shit where now social media is extra involved. All these apps are now extra involved in our lives, and people can be comfortable, blowing up from home or wherever they're at. You know, I feel like this has some backlash, on our society. It makes people more delusional. Makes people not really understand makes us more individual instead of seeing the whole picture. And I feel like even though we all got this technology, we're more divided because of it than we are united. And that's kind of what the people who are in charge really want, in my opinion. So if you agree, let me know. Um, that's just my take on society now. Um, and this is like why I feel like there's so many problems. The things that I've named in society. If you have any other things to contribute to this, let me know in the comments. Bring your ideas in. Let me know how you think, your opinion. And that's what it's all about. We got to debate. We all should be able to share our opinions and what's going on in society. I feel like we don't talk about things anymore, deeper things than surface level bullshit. And people just want to argue about the typical things that we all know is just gonna rage bait conversations. And instead of doing that, actually have conversations about you know things that we should be talking about. You know, more, things beneath the surface. And yeah, that's just my take as a person who just notices these things. And wonders what's going to happen as we go forward into the future, and I don't really like it. I don't care about all the technology. If it's going to affect the human psyche and the way we relate to each other, it's not worth it. You know, so uh, it's going to be like that. Fuck these smartphones. Fuck Elon Musk. Fuck Jeff Bezos. Fuck Bill Gates. Fuck all these motherfucking technocrats in general. Fuck Tesla. You know what I'm saying? Fuck motherfucking Amazon. Uh, Fuck all this. Fuck all these elite, elitist politicians. Fuck the people who run TikTok, Twitter, all these big websites, all these big sites. Fuck Zuckerberg and Facebook. Fuck all of them. You know what I'm saying? They're controlling the way we think, and I don't like it. And I see it, and I peep it. And I always try to fight to keep my mind intact. I don't want to be another zombie out here. You know, whose personality is their phone, and who sees the things going on online as reality. I don't want to do that. I like my individuality. This is what makes us human. And yeah, like I said, that's it. I'm done. Just let me know what y'all think.